Hey, what up? I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes for some more people to join in, and then we'll get started. I got audio going to the live stream now. Somebody in the voice channel in Discord, um, confirm. I want to make sure that the Discord voice is going through to the live stream. Can somebody say something on the voice channel? Well, you can hear me on the live stream. I want to know if everybody's shy and they join the voice channel, right? But they don't talk. They just listen to me. If you're just listening to me, listen to me in the live stream, right? If you're not actually going to talk, you can unlock your mic because you have to enable. Here, let me do this. I'm going to switch it from push to talk mode to voice activation, which means as long as you speak, your voice, your mic will automatically activate. If you have your wife in the background clanking around dishes, making all sorts of noise, it's going to piss me off. That's why I like to use the push to talk button. But I'll do it now, and then we'll see if we have an issue with it. We'll enable push to talk again. So hold on. All right. So voice activity. Whoops. Hold on. Let me do it this way. Premium. All right, so you guys can use voice activity now. As opposed to being forced to use push to talk. All right, so now, Bernard, I should be able to hear you then, because your mic's at you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, all right, I got you. Why am I hearing you through,
Okay.
Give me one sec. So, people on the live stream, sorry, I just got to get technical shit going, and then we'll be good. Once I got this stuff figured out, just give me one sec. Actually, can somebody on the live stream? Well, I guess you would have been able to hear it because it was feeding through. Never mind. All right, so that would work. Hold on. All right, let's see. Somebody talk on the voice channel?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So I was able to hear you. Now, was your voice coming through on the live stream? Is the only thing I want to know. Is anybody?
No, your voice. It was your voice coming through the live stream. I shut it down.
No, I want to know if your voice, what you're saying right now, I want to know if other people can hear that on the live stream. Can somebody tell me?
Oh, okay. Someone else needs to tell you then.
Yeah, can you hear Bernard in the live stream? Over the live stream? Yep. Okay. CDS says yep. Nars says yep. All right. Cool. All right. I got it working. I was trying to figure out how to have my headset for everything, but funnel the audio to the live stream. All right. We're good to go.
All right.
So yeah, anybody in premium who's in the voice channel, I think Jonas is gonna hop on. Let me text him. What? Oh, he keeps sending me dick pics. All right. Oh, he's there. All right. Good. All right. Why the stream not clear? It looks fine for me. So if you go down to settings on the live stream and go to quality, if you leave it on auto, sometimes it throws it off. If you manually specify 1080p, 720p, whatever the max option is for resolution on your display, you'll get higher res. If you leave it on auto, sometimes it downgrades to like 240 or 360. It's a pain in the ass. Try that, Mohammed.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Who is out there?
I got you. Shown in the
All
building.
right. Sorry.
What up?
One.
You got did you got my stream up?
Yeah. Let me mute it. Hold on, it's buffering. Why is it buffering?
Why is it going low now? Hold on. Make sure my my network's good. All right, I think I'm. Hold on, 1 second. I'll be right there.
Does anybody else hear me? Yeah, this is not working yet, is it?
Yeah, Big Jones, we can hear you.
Hey, all right. What's up, Bernard?
I had to switch my network.
Yeah, I
was
can hear
on
you. I can hear you.
I was going
What's
through a
up,
couple
buddy? How's it going,
proxies
man?
and everything was really slow, but I think I just fixed it. Yeah, all right, I'm good. So yeah, anybody who's on the live stream, somebody had said something about not being clear. If you didn't hear me, if you just manually select a higher res, you'll get a better quality stream instead of leaving it on auto in YouTube.
Yeah.
Let me recycle. Make sure that's good. Yeah, it looks like it's good on my end. All right, so we got Chone here.
What's
Where's
up?
Vamp? What's he doing? I don't think he's around.
TJ Mac.
I think he had a date with TJ Maxx.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was taking his Thai ladyboy with him to get a cute outfit for him. I mean her. I'm gonna dead name him. Shit, her. All right, let's so anybody who there's only Bernard's the only person in voice, but everybody can hear us on the live stream. But I wanted to run through actually 1 second. Let me make sure everybody has a link and whatnot.
All right. So the live stream is good.
Yeah, it looks like everything's good. All right, sweet.
I'm gonna retweet it on Twitter.
Retweet what?
Retweet the link on Twitter.
No, don't even. I
Duh.
people who if people want to join the live stream, they can come to the Discord and get the link. I want people to come to the Discord. I don't want to just give.
Gotcha.
Then we get a bunch of people who don't engage who just want to get like free shit and fuck them. I want to run through all of my trades, so we can do that first. And
Sure.
it looks like the live stream is good. I think I'm getting.
Yep, you're good. It's clear.
Yeah, I hate
Get
YouTube.
banned.
I always get it's horrible if I leave it on auto. Like for some reason it downgrades it to such low resolution.
Yeah.
I don't know why it does that. But if you manually change it, because I'm like 3,000 KB, so I have the upload speeds really is perfect. I don't know why it always does that. Anyway, all right. Anyway, welcome everybody. I'm gonna run through my open trades just to catch up because people who aren't in the group don't know this, but everybody who is in the group, you're aware of the trades I'm currently working on. So we'll just quickly run through those where we currently stand, and then we can look at some other stuff, see what other trades we could find. I'll run through alts, whatever you guys want. I don't know. I'm going through beers like water, so I might have to get up and take a leak 17 times, but we'll get there. All right, let's see. So my open trades. Well, for some reason on this layout, I have banned. Band's finally starting to fucking move. I was getting really frustrated. I was waiting since yesterday. I got in last night. Actually, it was yesterday afternoon. It was late in the day yesterday. I got into band. I was planning on it breaking out. It's just been moving sideways forever. But the supports have been holding perfectly. We got horizontal support at 6,200. My Ichima dynamic supports with the EMAs on the top of the cloud holding perfectly. Well, we're within the confines of the cloud. Bollinger Bands are compressing. Everything looked really good for a breakout. We're finally starting to get outside the band right there. We're pushing a little bit, so we might be able to push up a little bit more, finally get that breakout I was waiting for. That's on band. We can come back to that. As far as all the other alts that I have going. So my link trade, let's see, is up, finally starting to break. Went up like, 3-4%. I'm not going to, I'll probably move my stop loss up in a few minutes to my entry. So right around like 166, 167. So that way it becomes a risk-free trade. For those who aren't familiar with my primary trading strategy, I'm all about risk management. So I use stop losses on every single trade. And then as soon as I have a viable path to doing so, I move my stop loss up to my entry price. That makes it a risk-free trade. I can no longer take a loss on the trade no matter what. And then beyond that, I'll lock in profits by moving my stop loss up progressively as we get higher and higher. So right now on Link, I'm not ready to move my stop loss up just yet because you can see you have the 99 EMA and the 55 EMA. We're touching the 222 EMA right now. We're clear above the 55 and the 99, but I want the 55 to move up above my entry price a little bit more. So that yellow line right there, that's the 55. Once we get up to like 167.5, 60, 68 around there, a little bit above my entry, I'll move my stop loss up to my entry. Then it'll be a risk-free trade. If we push up right now and pump and get above the top of the cloud right here, above 176, then I'll just move it up instantly. I don't have to worry about it. Who is that? Is that you, Chone, with background noise?
Yes, sorry about that. My buddies, so we can move to a different room.
Put away the dog.
All right, so let me go from the top down. So ETC still moving sideways. That was my entry from last night. Still haven't done anything. It has to break above the 55 before it can make a move. I thought it was over here just because the way we had so much bullish divergence. If I zoom out, you can see it. There was some really strong bullish divergence here, right? So we got price action trailing down, RSI pushing up pretty hard. That was some really strong bullish divergence. I can actually extend it a little bit further too. So we were looking at a breakout. We had a falling wedge too. We finally got above the wedge, but we haven't gotten that breakout push. If we do get above the 55 EMA, that's going to push. That's going to break out. Because if we do break the EMA, then the only thing stopping us is the bottom of the cloud. Once we get above the bottom of the cloud, it's clean sailing, at least up until like $5.20. So ETC has a really great prospect of breaking out. I just needed to get that initial push. So far, it's pretty much right around my entry, so I'm waiting for that to happen. Next is Ren. So Ren, I originally got in, and this is a good example of how I trade, right? So I got in, we got an initial breakout pretty much right away. It went up 8 or 9%. But when that happened, I just wasn't available. I wasn't at my computer, so I never moved up my stop loss. So then it started coming back down. I didn't want to dump it, so all I did was move my stop loss up to the entry price, so it became a risk-free trade. And then on that wick right there, you can see that wick that came down. God damn it. Right here, that red wick. That stopped me out, so I broke even. If I hadn't moved my stop loss up, since my original stop loss was down here at 442, I still would have been in the trade. But since I moved up my stop loss, I got stopped out and I broke even. Not a big deal. I'm totally fine with that. That's part of my strategy. I expect to break even on plenty of trades because I move my stop loss up to get to that risk-free point. And then I'll get stopped out, and then I could always get back in if I want to. So I'm fine with how that played out. Then it immediately went right back up. But when we came back down and retested the 55 EMA here, I got back in. So I have a new open trade on Ren right now. Hold on one second. Bernard's saying he can't see the YouTube stream. What, at all? If it's not clear, if it doesn't look good, just do what I said earlier. Go down to the settings, like the little gear on the bottom of the YouTube stream. Click on that and go to quality. If you leave it on auto, it'll downgrade to 240 or 360 or 144. I don't know why it does that, but it always seems to do that, even though I have plenty of speed on my network. So manually select 720 or 1080, and then you'll get a better quality stream. If you have an issue with it beyond that, let me know, but it should be fine. All right, where was I? So that's Ren. And then band I have on this layout on this tab, which is finally pushing up. I haven't moved my stop loss up on band yet. I really think this can have a solid breakout. Someone's got YouTube backfeeding into their mic. I don't like that. So please don't do that again. Next, I have an open trade on EOS, which is also right on my entry. I didn't really set a high target for this. When I do the long tool, that's this for the red and green, that's the long tool. The center is your entry. The bottom of the red section is where your stop loss is. The top of the green is where your target is. Now, in general, when you see all of my charts have the long tool, every single chart, instead of having a horizontal line that says entry and a horizontal line that says stop loss and a horizontal line that has target, I just use the long tool, so it has all three in one pretty much. In this instance, you can see the target doesn't really matter. In most cases, the target really doesn't matter. I'm more focused on my initial entry and the stop loss. Beyond that, once we break out, I move my stop loss up progressively and lock in profit. I lock out risk and lock in profit, so I don't really have to worry about the target as much, since I deal with that after we break out. But in this case, EOS looks like it's in a great position to make a push up, the way everything's culminating. So you have the EMAs are converging. We have a convergence on the clouds, and we just got a corkscrew, the crossover right here. So it's turning bullish, and the averages are turning up too. We also had bullish divergence on this chart as well, much like we had on ETC. So I think EOS can make a push up here as well. We're still hovering around right on my entry. If you're not in EOS now, it's not a bad time to get in. We're still at the exact same price I got in. So now slightly lower, but pretty much the exact same price. Could be a good trade to get into. If BTC takes a push up, we're going to see movement on all the alts. And then Wabi, which of course was a really solid breakout. I have to make another adjustment. So right now we are up. So for those who weren't around, if you're not in the group and you never caught my original entry, the original entry was only 1% risk. So I got into this trade right here on that candle. Then we immediately broke out within an hour. So I was only risking 1% from the get-go. So it was pretty much a risk-free trade. 1% is a very, very small risk. We broke out, but usually when you break out like that, it's not uncommon to retrace almost the full extent of that breakout and then make another push up, which is why I never moved my stop loss up to my entry price until after this move. So we went up, we came back down, and then sure enough, I would have gotten stopped out if I had already moved my stop up. So we came back down. That wick, which would have stopped me out, didn't stop me out. And then after we bounced and made that second push up, that's immediately when I moved my stop loss up to risk free. And then since then, we've gotten a couple subsequent breakouts, and I've been moving up my stop loss since. I locked in 5.75% profit and 7.75% profit with my two SLs. SLA was 50% of my entire position. So if I put 10 grand in on the trade, $5,000 worth of my initial investment, half of the tokens that I got with my initial trade was sitting right here with a stop loss locking in a guaranteed 7.75%. So if we crashed right now, I would get at least 7.75% profit on that 50% of my position. The other half of my position was locking in 5.75. So this is a killer trade already. We've made another push up since. We have a really strong support right there at 1400. You can see we had 1, 2, 3 hourly candles completely bouncing, like really hard bounces right off of that 1400 level. So I'm going to consider that a strong support. And now I'm going to use that support to my advantage. So now I originally identified some support there, but I didn't know if we were going to hold on this move down. So when I was locking in 7.75% and then it held and then started pushing up again, it ended up being the perfect placement right below a support. That's what you want to do. You want to place a stop loss below a strong support. So if the price comes down, you have that strong support to protect your stop loss. So in this case, my stop loss had protection. This is my stop loss's Trojan right there. That support. Keeping me from getting the clap. And we've been pushing up since, ever since that bounce. It was an initial push up for another 8%. We're sitting at an additional 6.5% right now. So let me just check, see what other supports. So that's actually a pretty good support too. If you check it out, so we got resistance right here, 2, 3, 4, several candles. Pretty strong resistance right there at 1450. And then over here, even though those wicks all bounced beyond it, we ended up in each one of those cases coming back and closing the candle right at that resistance level. So that's going to be another good support and resistance right there, where we had boom, rejection, boom, 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 bunch of rejections, several more rejections. And again, for those who didn't catch what I was saying, sometimes if you have a really good support and resistance like this, and then you have a few candles that just broke through it, that doesn't mean it invalidates the support, because you have to look at it a little bit closer. These are hourly candles, so this candle closed, even though that wick pushed up above, it closed right at that support. This wick pumped up and came back down and closed right below that support. Same thing here. So that support is still holding because the candle's closing at that support, meaning a majority of that volume is occurring right around that support level, as opposed to it trading above that support and closing above that support, if you understand what I'm saying. So that's still a valid support. I can use that to my advantage and lock in more profit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my trade where I had 50% of my position locking in 5.75%, and that's going to move to this 1390 position. So my stop loss A becomes stop loss B. So what I'm going to do is the 50% of my position that's currently at 7.75% profit locked in is going to stay there. And then the 50% of my position that only locked in 5.75%, that whole position is going to move to a new stop loss, which is going to go below this support, which has a little bit of minor support if you break down the 15-minute candles, which we don't really have to do. And that's going to lock in about 11.2%. So now, worst case scenario, if the market and Wabi crash right now, 50% of my original investment, I'm going to make an 11.2% profit on it. And if it holds and then bounces up again, great. I still have 50% of my position open. If it keeps dropping beyond that, then I'm going to get stopped out completely. And the other 50% of my position, I'll walk away with just under 8% profit. That's not ideal. I'd like to get stopped out at 11.2% profit on the whole thing, but you don't really know. All you can anticipate is that if we do correct here and come back down, the highest probability is we're going to get support right there. And then if that does fail, we'll probably get support here. The chances of both supports failing and getting stopped out on both is relatively low based on how I'm modeling this thing. So that's why I split it up. So that way, if we do stop me out here, but then take a bounce, there's a good chance that that next run, I could catch that and make additional profits based off of it because I still have 50% of my position open. Then I can move up my stop loss again and lock in more profit. So I'm going to make this adjustment really quick on Binance just to make sure I lock in those profits.
That hourly is about to close in about 5 minutes too.
Yeah, I know. I like that, especially since it's the first red one in 3 hours. Could be an ideal spot to push up again. And if we do get another red candle, I don't think it's going to break below that 1450 support. I think that's a perfect spot too, because if it were to correct ever so slightly, that would be ideal. Then we can make another push up to 1550 or more. That was my
the volume's really strong too.
It's picking up. Look at that. It's moving up consistently. We got a nice uptrend on the volume too. If we keep moving up on the volume and look at the cloud, all the averages, everything is pushing up. We have a trend up on everything. We get a crossover on the 99 and 222, which is a great sign. We already crossed over on the 222 and the 55. So everything about this looks like it's going to hold bullish. But let me get this order finished. One sec.
Yeah, there's just something to be said about the fact that a couple of days ago, the big drop, and then the breakout to the higher high, and then the continuation to even a higher high with volume. So, I mean, low consolidation, but this one is, this is like on the radars now because of this movement.
Yep. I also like when I get into one of those trades that breaks out when everything else is either stagnant or bearish, because then everybody else sees it and then they just flood money into it and just it's pretty much just giving us free money because they're all late to the party. We get in at the beginning, risk 1%, so off the bat it's already a pretty low risk trade. We just wait for everybody else to follow suit. Once everybody else starts to catch up to us because we're ahead of the pack. All right, wait, shit, let me finish that. All right, should be good. Yeah, I'm good. All right, so that was Wabi, and then I do have a trade open on Knowles. That's also around my original entry. That hasn't made a move yet, so that's another trade that I think has a lot of potential. It's also turning bullish. Everything is converging. We have converging EMAs forming a little bit of a wedge. So one of the things I talk about with my Ichima model, I kind of boil everything down to a very, very simplified model, which is 5 dynamic support and resistances. So the 55 and the 99 EMAs are 2 crucial ones. And what happens is in areas where you don't have enough data to really justify drawing a triangle or a wedge or something like that, you get that already because you can see it. It's already, you're visualizing it already because the EMA itself is doing that for you. So without having to draw these trend lines, you can already see that just the 2 EMAs are creating a convergence zone. So you have a consolidation where the price is consolidating between those 2 support and resistance levels. When that happens, it compresses and consolidates within that apex. That's when you can get a breakout. So I caught that really early once I spotted it forming. Ever since then, it's been doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Staying below the resistance, staying above the support, consolidating and compressing within that apex, and the closer they get, the closer you get to a potential breakout. It could break down too, but that's why we use risk management. In this trade, I was risking about 3%. I could actually lower my risk here because now that the EMAs have continued trending upward, at least the 55 has, in theory, I can move my stop loss up to like around 33.30, 33.40, in which case I'm only risking 1.8, 1.9%. So my risk is now going to be under 2%, even though I'm in the original trade I got into. I'm just limiting my risk even further. So if we do break down, now I'm going to lose a little bit less money, even though I was only risking a small amount to begin with. By focusing on risk, locking out that risk is just as important as locking in profits. So I'm actually going to do that right now. I'm going to adjust my stop loss so it matches up with what I just showed you. So right around 33.52 to 33. Let's see. I don't want to go. I want to make sure I stay below these 2 candles. So
yeah, like the wick went all the way down to 35 and then 37. So
Yeah, I'm gonna
to
stay
absorb
between. I'm
those
gonna try to shoot
last.
around 3350. Between
Mhm.
3350. I'm probably gonna stay in the low 3340s. Either way, it's gonna be about 1.7% risk. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do that on my phone while I take a leak. Give me 90 seconds, because I just finished another beer. All right, I'll be right back.
Sure. About mid-August, there's been this sideways consolidation. So all of the bearishness of our EMAs or MAs or Bollinger Band for the July, August, September time to to even out here and out, and that is really allowed for a much more bullish potential because of that. You don't consolidate this type and then um, down in that sense, and that's kind of the situation. These are setups that uh, uh, that's that we look for. So we've got nulls up here. Uh, a little bit of a lag, maybe. I don't know. I'm getting a little lag on my side, but I'll keep it going. Actually, like I just wanted to pull up there. It's like uh, it's uh, it's situation here. Uh, I'm talking to Vamp and Darth at the same time here. All right, so it's a situation where, whoop, oh, now we're offline. Like goes that. Maybe we're still on. Ah, we're back. All right, we're back. Uh, so yes, you got month-long sideways consolidation that basically has allowed so much of our moving averages to consolidate and give the oversold oscillator a chance to breathe, and that's something we like to see. What is the situation here going? All right. Maybe we're still good. I can't. All right. So this is kind of set up looking for. Now, all we're really missing here, obviously, is our volume. I mean, we might have some more running room because of the consolidation we've been seeing. On balance volume is basically a dead stick, but the RSI as next, and it's interesting. We're right at the 50 area, and I always look to the 50 area as like that moment where, especially when the daily RSI, when the daily RSI is like a 50, that, uh, in that breakout, and that's basically where the situation is right here. Uh, I should have put the Bitcoin. All right. Well, I'm going to talk a little Bitcoin now because I don't know much about nulls, but I do know a little bit about Bitcoin. So listen, Bitcoin. Okay, we've been still ranging in our area, and a couple things of note that as we go into the weekend, I almost feel like the higher time frame price is more important to study because what's basically happening here is we're breaking below, we're back testing resistances, and so far those are holding. Most notable about that is the MA200 on the daily chart, which has been consistently support through this entire bull market, and the fact that the daily can't get above that over the past couple of days. So we basically broke bearish, and then we headed into the weekend price action. Weekend price action, is always very suspect in terms of, it's money flow that's just not there on the weekend. So because of that, we're dealing with mostly, bot trading exchanges kind of screwing with us. We're seeing long wicks, so on like lower time frames, I've been noticing this. It's like, oh, Bitcoin's about to break out. No, it's like every breakout has been sold off. Every breakdown has kind of been bought into. And it's funny. There's a couple indicators that I use specifically for this pattern, where if it breaks a certain line, it's a better buying opportunity, and when it breaks above this other line on the bullish side, it's basically a scale out or potentially enter at a short. And it's pretty effective actually in terms of where we're gauging um, where we are oversold or overbought in certain conditions. And because we've had these big candles that have brought us down hundreds of dollars already, uh, the sense that, all right, maybe there's one more drop. Maybe we do actually break into the mid 7Ks this time, right? But also, even with their really big pullback, Litecoin holding above 50, we ETH in high 160s. Now we're in the 173 here. We're seeing, and freaking Ripple XRP is still at 24 cents. So we're seeing a little bit more resolve in our overall altcoins, even with the pullback. And that basically tells me for now that the market is not ready to capitulate and that we have an oversold bounce opportunity that's setting up for that situation. But what we've seen when we break bullish, we actually break a little bearish first, and then we get that kind of upkick, that inverse BART. We're not really seeing that yet. I'm not even seeing like an inverse head and shoulders yet. And that's why the vulnerability of the to get back into the mid 7K and to break what we got 77.50 seems to be that low we have so far that we got back on a couple days ago. Yeah, 77.25. And listen, how much history have we seen in that 77.25 area of Bitcoin? We were literally back there in June, for months there, all into May. We break out to 88, we come back down to 75. We break out again, we come back down to 75. So this is the higher low potential that Bitcoin can still hold and maintain the bullish uptrend, okay, even with this tremendous pullback. And listen, this is a tremendous, we're at 8K here. Any hodlers just took a 50% haircut, my friends. That's why this market is for swing trading, scalp trading, adding bits and pieces if you'd like to your hodl position overall, but knowing that that stuff that is thought of in the future, years out, and not based on the current price. And right now, the current price, Bitcoin, even with these oversold conditions, even with the weakened RSI, even with a lower low in the OBV, which has been the more bearish divergence indicator we've been watching for a while here, even with the breakdown of this candle pattern, and that's important. What are the candle patterns telling us? They're telling us that we're probably in this is like a wave. It feels like a wave 3. If we've had these bullish moves, we have tremendous multi-$1,000 days on the upside. On the downside,
Your mic is fucked up again. Yeah, you keep going in and out. Or is that me?
What the fuck?
No, I have a good signal. Yeah.
I can hear him good. I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm good.
Shut up,
All
TJ Maxx. No one's talking to you.
Love that.
So yeah.
For Christmas, we're getting Garth a kitty headset. It's gonna have little kitty ears on it.
Sweet. Next time you mean Hanukkah.
Of course. Look at him. Yes, sir.
No. When you get a chart,
Yeah.
pull up the monthly chart. You guys can see that the monthly closed. That we closed right on those previous closes back in 2018 is support.
Yeah. There's a lot of history. I actually put a tweet out about that, and in my Bitcoin section as well. Literally, almost to the penny, that $7,700 area had acted as extreme resistance many times back in 2018, and that was kind of like that last straw that broke down eventually. So we backtested that exact area 2 times. On the monthly, we did it when we did the back test of the lows of June, where we found major support at around $7,500. and now we've back tested and bounced around $7,700. So we are still holding a higher low, at least on the wicks, and we got about 3 days left in the month. So this is still holding as support, but that's a major area where if it does break, then it becomes a major resistance again.
Yeah, I'll have to look at those on your. I have to check out your tweets. Somebody else was saying that you were breaking up too. It wasn't just me. Woodsman, I muted you temporarily because you had a lot of background noise. I was gonna say to mute your mic, but Sean was
Hey, sorry about that.
spiel.
Yeah, I think the background noise is me.
No, it was him. I could see who's green. Like when your mic is active and you turn green, it was that Jew.
I'll put the mic like right in my mouth right here.
Oh no,
All
you're
right.
fine. I meant the Woodsman.
I'm
He had
good.
background noise before
Yeah,
when he
I
first
got-
connected.
I got a headset on now, so.
There you go. Yeah, the headset works. That's
But
the
it's
way to
it's
do
not a Hello Kitty headset like I'm getting.
it. Bluetooth. It's Bluetooth though, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So Vamp mentioned the monthly, and I think the monthly is an important one to look at just because we close it out in a few days. And after back-to-back, months, August, September.
I'm looking at it now. I pulled it up on the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got triple Bollinger rejection. We got resistance. The middle BB is still around 7K. Low volume. The volume really fell off this month, even though it felt like there was a lot of activity.
Yeah.
All the oscillators are in a downward trend. It just feels like we see how bullish Bitcoin was. It's looking for a more meaningful support. This is the first area, the mid 7Ks. We were able to close the gap at 8,500 on the CME and the weekly and lower time frames. There's another gap on the CME, I think at like 7,200, and then a lower one. And of course, there's still the one above 11K as well. But touching the lower cloud there, touching the lower Bollinger on the weekly as well, and the MA 100 on the weekly. A lot of confluence there.
Yeah, we're right on the 99 EMA right there. It's converged. So we have confluence with the 99 EMA, bottom of the cloud, and the lower band. I think, I've been saying for 2 days this is the perfect spot for a relief bounce, which is why the alts I've got into I've been so confident about. It looks like, let me just jump in really quick because I think Link is just pushing up. Yeah, there we go. All right, so with Link, just for those who caught my earlier discussion on Link, so right now it's only up like 4.5%, but I'm moving my I'm going to use this one just because that was from an old trade. So my Link trade, for anybody who's in Link with me, it's risk free now. I moved my entry while I'm moving
Vader, can you explain that? Can you explain that again? What you mentioned about when is it that you move it over? When the 55 EMA is at a certain place. Could you explain that to me again?
Say that again.
Sorry if you didn't catch it, but you mentioned there's a moment.
He said
There's
you're a sucky trader. When you throw darts at the dartboard to tell you to go long or short, what size darts do you use?
I use, let me ask Wabi. Hey, Mr. Wabi, what size darts do I use? Oh, 18% darts? That's what I use. All right, cool. Just wanted to clarify.
Lawn darts. Those would be lawn darts.
Those would be lawn darts. All right, what was the question again?
Okay, you mentioned that you move your stop loss when the 55 EMA is at a certain place.
No,
I didn't catch that.
No, I move. Wait, this is Bernard, right?
Yeah, it's me. Yeah.
Yeah, you've been in my group for a minute. You should know all this shit. Come on.
Yeah, I know. You mentioned something. I wanted to know when is it that you move it because you mentioned something now.
No, okay, yeah. So it is. So Ichima stuff, right? So we have the 5. It has nothing to do specifically with the 55. We were just looking at like one or two specific charts where I was like,
okay.
This one chart, it happened to be the 55. But like for instance, so we're looking at Link right now. Link, I just moved my stop loss up to my entry price. It's now a risk-free trade. If we push up above the top of the Ichimoku cloud, that's another one of my Ichima supports, is the Ichimoku, the top of the cloud, right? So if we break that, then I'll move my stop loss up again because now I have another level of support. Okay, so in the context where you heard that before, I was talking about whatever trade we were looking at. It just so happens that on that particular trade when we were discussing it, the 55 was particularly relevant. But for those who don't know my model, you can see major support and resistance bouncing. First, a bunch of rejections on the 55, then a of support from the 55. Then a bunch of rejections from the 99. Then we got the 55 failed, but then after it got back above it, a lot of rejections from the 99, support from the 55. Then we pushed through, rejection at the 222. Now we're pushing up to the next Ichimoku dynamic resistance, which is the top of the cloud, is the next resistance. Break that, then I'll move my stop loss up and lock in some profit. I can even do it now, but it would be a little bit too aggressive. So yeah, don't put any stock into me mentioning the 55 before in that context. It was just that was the next available support or resistance. That's why I mentioned it last time. I cut in.
Hey.
Jonas talking, or Jonas or Vamp was talking. I cut in because I spotted the link and I just wanted to tell you guys. But you can go back to whatever you guys were saying.
It's okay.
The
So
fuck?
what I was saying is everybody needs to watch the weekly close. The most critical thing here is the weekly close, because what's going to happen is you have all your moving averages, your Gauss lines, everything is going to move up. It's not going to move down. It's going to move up. Where we open next week for the next week's candle is going to be huge, because I think if we open up lower, if we open up down in the, I'd probably say the 70, 78, 7,900 range, it's going to be really, really ugly for Bitcoin, because we'll be reopening underneath those supports that we are using right now as underneath those supports are going to turn into resistances.
Well, so if you we're looking at the weekly now. So right where the 99 EMA meets up with the lower band, we have confluence right there. I mean, that is pretty fucking precise. It is right where. That is absolutely flawless. Let me just get these text boxes out of the way. So the lower support right here from this candle, the weekly candle, is pretty much to the pip right on the 99 EMA and the bottom band. Pretty close to the bottom of the cloud as well. So I would say that zone right there, that major zone, which is right here. I'm looking at the Coinbase chart too, if that's that might be relevant, but it's at 77.30 about. So right at 77.30 is where the low was from this weekly candle. I would say that would be, if we can stay above that, I would be more confident. Below that is where I feel like we're in trouble. So anything under 77.30, then I'm starting to get worried if we open the next candle below that, because that's the major support we have right now. I mean, it really is. It's like, it's to the tick. It's right there on that 99 EMA.
I think it's probably plausible to assume that maybe the monthly low is in at this point, that we've touched it. But as we get into October, if this is going to be, strong support because of where it's touched, you get that back test potential to put in that higher low, or you kind of fuck the market and those longs, and you put in a slightly lower low just to break out, just to stop out any longs that entered like at those points, and then you find the support there. So I agree with what you're saying about how it closes on the weekly and the monthly, and how the setup for next month, you can assume that it will retest at some point of the lower wick that's created at the end of this week and then the end of the month, to confirm if this is actually real support. And the volume this week was definitely notable. The I think the biggest really news is that the Bach thing is launched. It's out there. And
Yeah, that was
that
priced in.
narrative is over.
Wah, wah, wah.
There was something I saw earlier today about Bitfinex got a favorable ruling that they don't have to turn over some of the Tether data that the prosecutors were requesting. I don't know if that's really means anything for Bitcoin as a whole.
It was from they want to stay. It was a few days ago. I was going to tweet out about it because since I'm a Jew and both my parents and brother are all lawyers, everybody always turns to me for the legal commentary. But yeah, that was from 4 days ago. So they want to stay, which just suspends some of the drama. We don't know how it'll play out. It just kind of buys them more time. It could work out in their favor, but at least it resolves some of the immediacy.
Yeah, it buys time. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah. So before they had to turn over a bunch of documents pertaining to the case, $900 million worth of Tether that they claim they were illegally borrowing from their sister company, which really shouldn't even be illegal anyway, and New York State shouldn't even have jurisdiction, but that's besides the point. But this does buy time, so at least we won't hear too much drama about it for the time being. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that it has to be. Can you hide the all the artwork, all your months of? There you go. I think it has to be just noted that the multi-month consolidation, is it a pennant? Is it a bullish pennant? A bullish flag? Or is it a descending triangle kind of a situation? That question's obviously been answered in this weekly candle, of course. All the indicators the past couple of weeks, there were signs from the TD indicator where we had a red 3 close below a red 2, which closed above a red 1. So it was kind of hit or miss for a couple of weeks there. But that last week there, we were starting to see the breakdowns of on balance volume, higher low. The RSI was dipping below 50 on the daily. So, and the stochastic was already in its downtrend. So this was starting to fall off a cliff. And then once the ball started rolling, boy, did it fall. Now, what it found was kind of the most notable, biggest area of most recent historic support, which we go back, as Vamp said, to a lot of history in 2018, where it resistance multiple months when tested. So, okay, we've hit it. This is our first area where we'd expect to really find that solid support. Also on the VPVR, it shows among the largest bars of overall like price action that Bitcoin has experienced. There's tons of it, in the mid 7K. So if you loaded that last bull run back in May, June, where Bitcoin, consolidated for a week or two and then blasted from 7,500 all the way up to 13K, all that profit is gone. Like, we put in a lower low from that breakout point, and that's notable in the price action of this. Now, through our bull runs of Bitcoin past, we have had these pullbacks, 30%, 40%, 50%. We're at 50% here in this breakout to basically back to where we were prior to the breakout. So we're at a major inflection point as we go into October. And oversold bounces are definitely a little more appealing after falling $2,000 in just a few days. But our higher time frame oscillators and moving averages are just beginning to roll over. So there's time here from a higher time frame standpoint to still trickle lower a couple bound cat support areas to really determine if this market can regain an uptrend.
Here's a cup and handle for the people who like that elementary shit. I hate that so much. But somebody was just asking me about that in a DM. They were like, "Oh, does that look like a cup and handle?" I'm like, I guess, but I don't know. It's kind of, I hate that shit. Yeah, so that reminds me what Jonas was talking about, his TD stuff. So he has his TD indicator videos, where he goes through a bunch of different counts and explains how to do all that shit. That's kind of far beyond what I do. I just look at charts and see shit and just see patterns that most people don't see. That's why I'm so damn good at trading alts. But for everybody in premium, for the cheapskates who are here for free, who aren't in the premium group, first of all, man up and pay, you bitches. And then second of all, everybody who is in premium, in Flux University, Jonas just gave me a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to add all that stuff. And you'll be able to look at all those videos shortly. He breaks down TD and doing a bunch of more of the more advanced indicators. So the university section is really filling out. We're also going to be doing a bunch of live streams, but keep an eye out for that. Some of the indicators he was just talking about, he has a bunch of tutorials. He's going to be updating them anyway, but keep an eye out for it in all the Flux University sections. All that stuff, I'm populating it right now with a bunch of content. So make sure you go through it, especially if you're trying to make sense of some of the higher time frame stuff, because I'm a basic bitch. I focus on shorter time frames and much more basic stuff. Some of that more advanced shit that's beyond my purview, he can teach you that stuff and can teach me that stuff. So you guys should definitely go and check that out. But I do like,
Hey guys,
yeah.
hey guys, can you do me a favor? Pull up the
I thought I was drunk. Fuck.
chart. Pull up a monthly chart, and then I
There
want
he
you
is.
to make a
Hold on,
massive
hold on. We're laughing at you.
triangle.
Get a better signal, you drunk fuck.
Pull up a
He's still going. He has no
massive,
idea.
pull up a massive triangle.
It's just it's a massive triangle. It's like, Vamp, everything you said, you sounded like special ed from Crank Yankers. One more time, all we heard was massive triangle. Now you're playing a guitar. Now you're tuning a guitar. Should I just mute him? I think I have to mute him.
No. Oh,
Yeah, he's gone. He gave up.
That was funny.
Oh shit, he's back.
Snapchat. I'm on my cell phone.
No, yeah, we couldn't tell.
Trying to let me see if I can connect to the Wi-Fi, but I can't.
That's fucking hilarious. Cracks me up. All right, he's got to get on Wi-Fi. I'm gonna cut him off. I don't know what. Did you catch any of that?
Oh my god! I think he was saying there's a massive triangle in the monthly or the weekly. I couldn't tell. I think it was the monthly. He said.
Well, I was looking. There's a little bit of a wedge formation, but I don't see a triangle.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh wait, you know what? I mean,
the
there could be. I mean, if you, yeah, I mean, in theory, because of the support at 7,700. You know what's
But that's
actually
the
kind of
thing.
interesting
Yeah.
here? Just this is really interesting. You know how I always talk about? I always preach never delete old supports because old
Right.
supports can be clutch in the future. You never know, just on the chart. So I just went through because I have so much shit on all my BTC charts. I was kind of going through. I'm like trying to find one that I can use to look at with you guys. So I'm like looking at this one. I'm like, all right, that one won't work. So I went down to the Tether one. And sure enough, I have a support from. I must have probably had this. I don't even know when. I don't know when I placed the 7,700 support on the chart, but look at that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like clockwork. So I mean, I might adjust it a little bit lower, but that's pretty damn flawless. So we're right at that support too. That's additional support right here.
And I remember back in June where we had that bearish week. So we're like flying high. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green weekly closes in a row. It was just balls to the walls. And then we had this Maribozu pullback, red candle, beginning of June. And it was like, all right, what is this? How deep is this? And then, of course, the next week we just blasted through it, higher high, bullish engulf. And that bounce was literally just a hair lower from where we have found support on this bear break. Now, I was thinking about measured moves in the sense that if we're calling this a descending triangle on Bitcoin, and we're basically saying that it started as high as 13.8 and the support level around 9,000, give or take a few $100s, was our baseline there. Then are we talking about a $4,000, tip-to-toe bearish completion of the descending triangle, where the 9K breakdown starts the $4,000 decline to around the $5,000 area, which would complete the descending triangle, massive descending triangle pattern, and then find support. I think the bigger question is now the market's asking itself, well, crap, if no one's prepared to hold Bitcoin, at least if this dump broke the $10,000 support, $9,000 seems like like wow, and now we're barely holding on to $8,200. The market is like, wow, maybe $7,500 is possible soon. I'm going to hold out. I'm going to see how it goes. I'm going to see if buyers feel that $8,200 is that support. Bitcoin dominance has been pretty solid through this drop as well. So it dropped. It basically took alts with it. Some alts definitely holding up better than others. But as we've seen before, when Bitcoin can range, and because it's holding this major support, as we spoke about, it's confluence really of multiple supports, different time frames, different indicators, different histories, different horizontals. Arranging Bitcoin is a bullish alt based on the specific setup of the alt pattern. And we've seen that be very profitable at times with a stable, hovering, Bitcoin that is able to hold, roughly hundreds of dollars to no more than $1,000 spread of price action.
Yeah. All right. Let me see. I'm trying to see what I'm including here because there's so much fucking support. Uh-oh.
The thing that is interesting to me about the MA 100 or the 99 on the weekly there, that zone is Bitcoin on the back test of that moving average, bounced so hard the last time. Like that was the bounce
Yep.
that rose at $7,000 almost, 100% almost. So what if that bounce, maybe it's not our breakout bounce, but a relief rally back to test? And again, what are we talking about? Like how high can we go on any kind of a bounce here? The thing that comes to mind the first is the fact that, low to mid 9Ks was strong support for months. It has to be looked at now as strong resistance because it failed to hold. So you often see the of major supports that fail to confirm that they are true now resistance. Um, so as we get closer, any kind of an uptick to that 9K area, that's when the resistance begins to put the pressure on it. Because if no one wanted to hold above 9, then getting back up there will, induce that kind of bearish sense again. If we could do that. But what's it going to take? Is the market comfortable of $8,200, or do we have to drop to 77, 75 and get a nice V bottom wick to induce? All right, we're kind of hold here. And next week, because we close out a candle that's very bearish, we get to kind of restart a new candle, and that can take us to places of interest for sure.
Yeah, I'm the more I look at this, the more bullish it makes me feel actually, because looking at all the confluence, there's so much going on here. That's why I just made this graphic. I'm gonna post this and cause some boners on Twitter. Some positivity boners. Yeah, so MA 100. I don't know what EWA is, but apparently it exists. EMA 99, MA 100, prior horizontal support from months back. From many months back. That's like from May and June, 3, 4, 5 months back, or 3, 4 months back. We got prior horizontal support, the lower Bollinger Band, and trend line support. There's never, and the fact that we're ending the weekly and the monthly, this is by far the best potential possible scenario to get that bounce is to start that next candle after we close the weekly and the monthly and push up from there. And we might find some heavy resistance because of the downtrend on the top side. So there's going to be tough resistance. We could draw a continuation here and show that if we were a solid bounce on the next candle, we could very easily I don't know if we're going to bounce all the way back up or if it could be more progressive, but even if we did, we're going to find ourselves fighting at the higher 9s. It's going to be tough to get back above 10K on that next candle, even if we got a strong relief bounce. But a strong relief bounce would be getting us back up to below 10K. Getting above 10K is a bullish continuation pattern. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. I see it as two ways. Higher time frames, the moving averages are still like way above the price action still. Like they have lots of time to get closer to the price action. So lower time frames, moving averages are a lot closer to the price. So those are the first things I'm watching to see. Okay, can we break above the hourly, the 4, 6 term moving averages, and every time we can break above, back test and find support, you can kind of raise your time frame to the next level and target those moving averages. But because Bitcoin fell so quickly here, there's so much running room. So a good Bitcoin quick and would be like $600. Like it'd be a big bounce. There's basically free air, up to like $8,800. Um, it's just tough to see
Oh, your
how
mic
right
is getting all
now.
fucking crazy. Your mic's getting all crazy again. Sounds like you're popping off rounds. Getting all like sounds like gunshots.
Let me see if I can get. I'm literally right on it there. All right, so we watch the green circle. So is that better? This should be a little better.
I don't know. Keep going. Can't tell, but
All right.
it's pretty fun.
So yeah. So
It sounds
it's
like when when your headphone jack is like hanging out like one little notch and you listen to music and you hear like it sounds like a little
yeah.
popping, right? It's shorting out. That's what it sounds like. It's not
Shit.
too bad though. It's not like Vamp where it sounded like he just hit the jack.
I guess the thing is, as what he was saying earlier, that a lot can be said about the next 3 days of price action, and the fact that we have the confluence of the weekly and kind of the monthly. Like they're very similar because all this price action, this bearish price action, literally is happening the last week of the month. So this whole month is basically defined by the latter half of September. Lower time frames like the RSI on the hour on daily is like lows of 2019. We had not been this low.
I like that stochastic's still relatively low. So the other oscillators, I mean, RSI is still turning down, but at least stochastic's pretty much reset, and it's been that way. There's actually bullish
Yeah.
divergence on it because it's been sitting down. It's been reset for a while for all these weekly candles, so that's actually a good sign.
So it's a great point because when you get the Stoke that low for that long, and it's had a couple like false breakouts where it has a bull cross, fails, bear cross, bull cross, and we're kind of ish holding the bull cross ish. Um, that's more of like it's like the RSI is like the horsepower, and the stochastic RSI is like the torque. It's like it shows you where you are in the strength index, and it also puts patterns in too. So we have this kind of like triple bottom, not really bottom though. That's the thing that's a little like iffy to me is that it's got a little bit more downside to it if it wants to take it. Um, but the fact that the bands are very tight says it's building for something. But speaking about bands, you get the weekly up there. The weekly Bollinger Bands are still hella wide, like super wide.
Yeah.
And middle BB was touched just once last week, and that was it. Like it just held it. There was a little, and that was it. So I don't even see like a play in the cards yet
Jesus, it's getting worse.
until. Really?
Yeah.
Let me just make sure it's not.
It feels just you said it's blue. Is it Bluetooth? It feels like a contact. It feels like a physical connection issue. You guys on the live stream, you hearing that too? It's not just me, right? Bueller, anyone?
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
hear.
I do hear. I hear that.
Yeah,
I'm hearing that too.
It's all choppy and shit. Yeah,
Yeah, I can hear it.
physical. It
You
sounds like
guys
a
actually just
physical
cut out
connection.
for like.
It feels like your headphone jack is hanging out.
Shit.
There's just
I'm
not
trying
enough
to
girth to really fill the hole, you know.
Here, let me. I'm gonna do something interesting here. Hold on one second.
So,
I'm gonna call back in.
Pixar didn't happen. All right, while he's gone, let's go back and just check in on my alts. I'm gonna take. So we've gone over all this stuff for a while now, so I'm gonna start winding it down anyway. So for people who are in the group, you guys obviously have priority. So, is there anything that you want to take a look at? I'm going to run through my open trades. If there's anything you want me to pull up and take a look at, we can look at it together. After quick Q&A, and then if any of you guys who are on the stream who aren't in our premium group, if you guys have anything you wanted to check out or any questions, by all means, anything. If you want to ask about indicators or some shit, whatever, I don't care. Just anything you want. I'm game. So let me just run through these really quick while Chone's resetting his mic anyway. So, Ren still hasn't made a move. So, if nobody's gotten into any of the trades I'm in, Ren is at a perfect spot. It's sitting right, again, if you're not familiar with my model, look at all the support from the 222 EMA. Boom, right? Major support. Major support from the 222, also confluence with the 55. We had an EMA failure and then a reset, came back up, and then on the retest, major support from the 55 EMA. So, this is an ideal entry for Ren. Did I do ETC yet? ETC hasn't changed. That's in the same spot. Why is my network slowing down now? It's still okay. Still right below my original entry. ETC is not as bullish as the other ones. I'm not as confident on ETC as I am with the others. It really has to get above the 55 EMA. So the 55 is kind of coming down right there, the yellow line. And it's been fighting to get above the 55 from over here. Rejection, right? So you can see, again, major rejection from the 55. 7 fucking candles in a row right here. Rejection from the 55 EMA. You can imagine, once it gets above that 55 EMA, that's going to be a major play. And the entry of my original trade right here at 471 and change is right at the 55 EMA. If you were to enter right now, if it does break the 55, you're in a great position. If you're not in an ETC trade right now, it's probably good to consider not getting in until it breaks that. What you could do is set a stop limit buy order. So once it does break the 50, like right now, if you were to set a stop limit buy order right here above the 55 EMA at like 4,735.74, then your order is only going to fill if it does break the 55. And you can see the 55 has been rejecting this whole time. So that's going to be clutch. And once it does get above that 55 EMA, if you enter at 474, and that's where your order is set to enter, then as soon as your order gets filled, you get a notification, you jump on and set a stop loss 1.5% below, right, pretty much where the price is right now. So if you were to enter at 474, set your stop loss immediately at 467, you're only risking 1.5%, but you have the 55 EMA now to support your trade and to protect your stop loss. Realistically, I'd probably take closer to like 2% risk, so it goes below that prior horizontal support at 465. But either way, that could be an incredible trade. If you're not in it yet, it's probably better to wait until it gets above the 55 to enter. I answered a little bit aggressively here because I thought it was going to break the 55 and it didn't. Ren, again, still right at my entry, but an ideal spot to make a move, so that could be clutch. Yes, same thing, still hasn't moved. I might want to wait until it gets back above the 55 EMA to get in if I wasn't already in. Wabi, we're coming down a little bit, so that candle closed. Where on that next hourly, we're already 3/4 of the way through that hourly, and we're holding. So if this closes and doesn't drop too much further, we could make that next push up. Think of this as like a subwave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we also have 1, 2, and that wave 3 still has to go. It has to continue up a little bit further to the higher 16s or higher 15s rather. So there's a lot of movement left on that primary wave count. Let's just to show you what I mean. So if I were to do this, if I were to draw an L8 wave count here, what I'd want to do is I'm going to draw wave 1. So the 1618 is going to be the target for wave 3, which is going to be 23% roughly from my original entry. So I'm going to end up walking away with 23% profit if we do continue to that 1618 target. But that would be the ideal target for wave 3. So let me try it like this. 1, 2, that's going to be wave 3. Come back down, reset a little bit. And then wave 5, probably get a 120 extension, closer to 17, probably up there. But I'm looking for that wave 3 target to fulfill up around 1600, probably get rejected right below 16. I bet there's a good horizontal support right there too, right around 1600. Yeah, right there. No, that's 1550. I'd probably want to get a little bit higher. Yeah, look at that. So that was actually a pretty strong support right there. So that would be an ideal spot to get rejected, right around that 1600 level. So I'm looking to get this to continue a little bit. If you're in Wabi now, great. Just kind of do what I'm doing pretty much. But if you're not in Wabi now, then you might want to. You probably don't want to jump in because you already missed out on kick-ass play with an 18% call. So it's a little late to the game. Link is finally moving, which is nice. Again, we talked about this already. It's a risk-free trade now. I can't take a loss. Probably not a great time to get in, but if it does break the top side of that cloud, it might be a good play. And then the Knowles trade is still hovering right around my entry. But again, that still looks really bullish because it's above the cloud. The cloud's providing a ton of support. All these candles right there sitting right on the top of the cloud, a lot of support. We're sitting right between the 55 EMA and the 99 EMA, so we're getting that convergence right there. So that's forming that apex, downtrend, uptrend support, downtrend resistance. You're getting an apex that's forming from the confluence from the consolidation within those two support and resistances. And that's where you get that big breakout move. Again, like I said before, it could break down, which is why you limit your risk. So in this case, I'm only risking 1.8%. So the worst case scenario, I lose 1.8%, but if it does break up, I can make upwards of 20%, at least on the initial breakout, just from right here. If it were to go up to around what the 222 is, I can make 7%. If it breaks that, we end up with the Wabi situation where I'm making 18 to 25%. So that's what you want to watch out for. That's it for my open trades. Just a quick review of those. And then again, as you guys are already familiar with, my band trade, which is finally starting to make a little bit more movement up, but still nothing too extreme. It's just starting to finally push up. We got a couple candles retracing a little bit here. As soon as we started pushing up, somebody started selling. We only went up like 4.5%. I could have sold and got out, but I'm still holding it. I haven't even moved my stop loss up to be risk-free yet. I'm waiting. We see the EMAs pushing up further. So if we were to come back down and then retest the 55 EMA up again, at that point, I would move my stop loss up to my entry price, making it a risk-free trade. But at least right now, I'm not doing that yet because there still is a chance we can come back down and test some of these supports again. So I don't want to get prematurely stopped out before this big breakout because I definitely see a big breakout possible on band. So that's it for my open alts. I think Jonas is back. If he had anything else to add that he was in the middle of explaining, he could jump in for a few more minutes, and then I'll take open Q&A from group members or chart requests, anything you guys want me to look at. I'll take any of those from group members, but if you're not in the group and you're just some cheapskate here to get free shit, then fuck you. No, I'm just kidding. I love you and I really appreciate you, but priority obviously goes to the guys on the team, Anyway, Sean, you there?
Nope. Yeah, I'm here. I probably gonna get a new microphone, obviously, at some point. But I don't much have more to add. As I said before, if Bitcoin can kind of hold around this area, then alts with better setups have a chance to run. We've seen it before. Binance USA launching seems to be working pretty well. That's bringing some new eyeballs, some new money into the market, especially on the discounted Bitcoin price act. Maybe Bitcoin above 10K wasn't, interesting for some people to start to, play around, but Bitcoin at 8,000, maybe it's more of a tempting environment now. So it's hard to tell if there's going to be a leading indicator from a coin or, I think, we could argue that Litecoin was a very bullish leading indicator that as it's happening approached, ran from $22 all the way to $140. Back to $50. So $50 is definitely cheap to $144, but it's also like, is there anything behind it really? And I think a lot of that will be answered as we get through the rest of the year, as these new projects, new coins are coming online, and as some of the other ones are really just falling off a cliff and the delisting. It's amazing to see some of the Satoshi levels of coins that I used to trade that had a very significant market cap.
Yeah, they're dying off now. Well, don't forget, we have the coin that should not be named because we have public people in this stream who aren't aware of my long-term play, which is going to utterly fucking explode, and it's going to 3, 4, 5x. So there are coins like that are very, very low cap coins that have insane potential, like the one that I've been tracking for 2 months, which a bunch of people in the group have already made a substantial amount of money on. So there are still trades out there that have coins we don't really know about yet. Things I'm looking forward to. I've talked about that a lot, where we have, if you compare it to like the .com bubble, if you had gotten into the Yahoos and the Googles and the AOLs during the .com bubble, you'd be doing great right now because all that capital flowed into the ones that stayed around. It's the shit coins that disappeared off the face of the earth where you lost your money in the .com bubble. Same thing now. You're going to lose money if you're in the shit coins that are disappearing, but if you funnel your funds into the coins that are going to stick around, that are the future, you're going to end up being the guys who invested into, you know, AOL, Time Warner, and Yahoo early on when the .com bubble crashed. So there is a lot of potential there if you know what to look for, and some of the things you need to look for are coins that are making money, companies that are actually reporting earnings and profits right now, that actually have a use case, that actually have a product, not a theoretical use case, but an actual product out there that are actually making money on, that they're returning revenue, that they're earning revenue and profits on. They are very few and far between, but if you know how to spot them and you know how to find those things, there is a lot of money to be made. So that's something to consider as well. All right. So anybody in the group have any questions before we start? Who the fuck gave this stream a thumbs down? Tell me right now. Be a fucking man. Be a man. Come on. You have a fucking problem. Say it to my face. You fucking cunt. All right. Anybody in the group have any questions? You can hit me up in Discord. Hold on. No, I'm not gonna tell Gene. Is Gene in here? No, he's not. Somebody had a question in hold on, where's I'm getting lost in my own Discord here.
I have a question for you, if I may ask.
Yeah.
Do you think how tight do you think the correlation between like the Dow, the Nasdaq, the S&P, the overall stock market is with Bitcoin? If the market goes bearish, is that a good thing for Bitcoin, or is it because Bitcoin may be seen as the most like riskiest? That's the first to kind of people pull their money out of that first.
So first of all, I need to reiterate that I'm not kidding. I want to know who put the fucking thumbs down on this stream, because I will fucking fuck your wife and eat your children, you piece of shit. But on another note, it's the S&P 500 that matters, because the S&P 500 is related to the banking sector, and that's really where you have the money. That's that institutional money. That's where you see that correlation. So depending on what the S&P does, that draws more of a correlation. A lot of people make that mistake where they look at the Nasdaq or the Dow, but it's really the S&P that matters. It's if the S&P is strong, and if you look at some of the ETFs like the Spider ETFs that track the S&P, if you follow those, you actually do see a correlation with Bitcoin. You don't see it when you look at the overall stock market, because everybody focuses on the Nasdaq and the Dow. But next time we see a big move on Bitcoin, rather, I would say, next time we see a big move, if there is a big move on the S&P 500, that's where you want to look for a correlation with Bitcoin, because you'll notice it's not all the time, but a lot of the time when there is a big swing on the S&P, that's when we see more money flow into Bitcoin. But it's not every time. It's not like a guaranteed thing. But if you are seeing a little bit of a bearish indicator showing its face on the S&P 500, you do see some money flowing into Bitcoin. And it's not only Bitcoin, well, now it is. It used to be overall crypto market cap. But nowadays, since everybody's sort of given up on altcoins, at least people in the community still get into alts, but speculators have, outside of the industry, stopped getting into alts for the time being. So now it is just
That's
Bitcoin.
such a great point. That's such a great point, because you're right. People are now dipping their toe into crypto. They're going to start with Bitcoin. Unfortunately, some start with Ripple, but you're right. There's that's more of a bullish case for Bitcoin as a whole. And so you're right. There's a smaller pool of traders that potentially are more focused on the alt market for those potential trade setups that are always out there. And especially some that can bullishly diverge from Bitcoin, no matter what Bitcoin's relative price action is.
Yep. All right, where'd everybody go? There were a bunch of people chatting in premium earlier, and they're all gone. All right, anybody who's in public from like the YouTube stream who had a question? Somebody did. Crypto Frontier. Views in Wall Street messing with crypto. Oh, we just kind of did talk about that, but more of like a correlation between the two. So there's a lot of manipulation on the market. So one of the things I've done in my career working in crypto, I've kind of played the role of matchmaker with some OTC market makers, where because of my contacts and some of the contacts I have from outside of crypto, from outside of crypto Twitter and everything, I know certain people who are big players in world markets, and I've put together some OTC deals, and there are a lot of institutional investors that are still putting money into crypto. There's still manipulation, but it's nothing that's really overt. It's nothing that people talk about, but it's one of those things where like you'll be talking to somebody who represents a hedge fund who wanted to buy 20,000 BTC. And that guy all of a sudden wanted to go from spending 2% under spot to be willing to spend a 1% premium above spot price. So you hear that and you're thinking to yourself, well, that's kind of weird that all of a sudden he's willing to spend more. Because the issue with making OTC deals happen was always finding sellers. It was very hard to find sellers when I was putting these deals together. So when I got to the point where I would have a deal that we're ready to go to contract or something, and then somebody would all of a sudden be willing to sell for a higher price, and then I could find a buyer that's willing to raise their offer, what you would have to consider is what do they know that I don't know? And a lot of the time you would see later on, within a week or two, there would be a sudden move in price. So it's almost like there's this insider thing where they know that the price is going to go up, but nobody talks about it, nobody knows about it, nobody at my level. People way above my pay grade know about stuff. But I don't hear anything about it, but it certainly does happen. I can guarantee you it happens because I've seen it happen. I've had brokers call me and say, hey, I have a client who wants to spend $50 million on Bitcoin because they're launching a crypto fund through their hedge fund, but they're willing to pay spot price now. They're no longer looking for a discount. When for 2 months I was trying to find a seller that would sell it for 1% or 2%, 2 points below spot. Now all of a sudden they're willing to spend spot, and then all of a sudden the price goes up in the coming weeks. So there's a lot of manipulation going on, but nobody at my level or anybody that I know knows anybody directly who can testify to it happening other than the fact that we've seen it happen. So it does happen, but I don't have any information that I could share with you from an insider perspective that can tell you what's going on other than the fact that it is. That's the most info I can share with you. Not because I can't talk about it, because I don't really give a shit. I just don't have that information, or I would blab my ass off. Anybody have any questions or any charts? I'm going to call it quits because it's getting late, and I still haven't finished watching No Country for Old Men for the 60th time, but I started it earlier today, and I really want to finish it. I'll
Heads or
more
tails?
money on these trades. Huh?
Heads or tails?
Heads or tails, man. Oh, I love that fucking movie. It's so great.
All right, this was a good one. Got a lot out. It'll be an interesting way that the market closes tomorrow night on the weekly. It sets up the end of the month next week. And,
yeah, we have 3 more days till the end. 2 more days till the end of the month. So we have the weekly tomorrow, but we only have 2 more days. Then we get the monthly. So we have this point. We're at the perfect spot where we have, again, for anybody who didn't catch that before, we're sitting on a major weekly and monthly support, and we're closing the weekly and the monthly candle right now. So we really couldn't ask for a better spot.
And the quarterly too, is that right?
Yeah, the end of September it would be a quarterly candle too.
So the 3-month, interesting.
Yeah, I never look at higher time frames anyway. I rely on you and Vamp for that stuff. If you would have put a chart together and posted in the group,
Yeah, there's some actually. I've done the quarterly before. It's kind of funny because Bitcoin's quarterly is just like straight up, and then like it's like 9 green, 2 red. Yeah, like quarterly candle. It's like interesting. Actually, it's a nice tweezer. It's an interesting tweezer, but it's still flagging. But high volume too. Interesting. Yeah. Well, high volume, but much smaller volume than last quarter. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out too. I'll take a look at that later. All right. Nobody else in the group has any questions. Then nobody in the live stream in YouTube chat. Right? How low BTC? Your chart say no. we just talked about that for a while. How we're sitting at a really strong support and we're at a really good time to bounce right now. So it looks like right now we don't go lower, but if we do fall below the support, which I tweeted out 5 minutes ago, I just tweeted out a chart where you could see that support. If we close the monthly and the weekly below that support, as Chart Vampire was saying, then we might be seeing some lower lows. So we'll talk about that if that happens, but I don't even want to go there because if I don't want to go in that direction and cause panic if it's not necessary. Let's give it a couple days and see how it plays out.
Indeed.
Let's call it quits.
All right.
All right, I'm going to finish getting drunk. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by, and I'll see you in the next one.
Peace.